Description: the characters are arranged, the scenery is drawn, and the curtain rises. The terrible concentration of chakra causes Toby's mask to crack. And in perfect silence it falls to the ground, revealing to the world the face of Naruto Uzumaki. Welcome to the channel on the history of Naruto. You can support my friend's channel. He also shoots stories about Naruto, and he's doing great, thank you. And this is a new interesting story about Naruto. Before you start watching, like it and subscribe to the channel, it's very important to me. Enjoy watching. Part 1. Broken Mask. Obito! The angry shout of Naruto, who had just lost a friend, made the masked man pay attention to him. Uzumaki clung to Jonin Niji's vest convulsively, trying to calm down. The veil of Biju was slowly fading, eroded from within by the irretrievable loss and sudden despair. A single tear rolled down Hinata's face. I won't let you kill your friends. Didn't you say you wouldn't let us kill your friends? Now, look around. Naruto looks around, knowing what he's going to see. But the blow was still painful. The shinobi troops were scattered all over the field. Someone, somewhere, was sobbing over the body of the dead man. The ground absorbed the blood slowly and Naruto could see. I've seen people die. I could see the seriously wounded getting up with a groan. I saw blood being spilled and people falling down dead. Try that again. The voice of the hated enemy seemed to come from far away. But that was the only thing holding his mind. He only heard that voice, he only listened to that voice. Slowly sliding into hopelessness. I can't hear you, Toby snapped. There was a hint of mockery in that voice, though. And Uzumaki suddenly realized that the enemy was laughing at himself. Hinata was looking at him, but he felt like she was reproaching him. In her weakness, in the death of her brother, with whom she had begun to find common ground, in the war itself and his own birth. Awareness of the moment when the bodies of your friends cooled down on the battlefield. It's like hitting 1,000 bricks at once, isn't it? The inevitability of death. That's what it is. Obito continued to speak as if to warn him, as if he was trying to convey something to him with these words. But why? He'd already figured it out. Why repeat what is already imprinted in his brain in large letters? And Niji. The Alliance shinobi with the Byakugan opened his already large eyes in disbelief. People seemed to come to their senses and realized where they were. That there is no concept of good and evil here, that everything here is decided by a force so superior to their own that it is even ridiculous to think. Is he dead? The death of one of the strongest men smoothly turns into the death of everyone who once knew Hyuga. The death of some part of their soul. The number of victims will increase if you continue to speak your lousy principles. See what remains of your stupid dreams and ideals. Here it is, a harsh reality. The words of the worst enemy seem to carry a ton, incomparable to anything. Every single sentence he uttered was driving into the dust what Naruto lived for. So easy, ruined someone else's life. And it looked like Obito was a master of this art. Naruto. The enemy's voice seemed to falter. Let me ask you something. What do you have left in this world? You don't have a father or a mother. Even your teacher, Jiraiya, is dead. And all your comrades will die one by one like flies. When all is said and done, no one will remember your existence in the world anymore. Obito. And your light at the end of this tunnel will be what you've been dreaming about all your life. Loneliness. No. No way, it's not. It's not. No, stop it, shut up. Maybe what can you do? I won't let you. You alone can't solve all the problems. I can, I'll decide. I'll do it, I've always done it. I won't give up. I'm a loser, a pathetic demon, a despicable trash. No, don't you dare, shut up, I said. I can handle it, I can do it. I must! You can't stop me. Stop. Hizashi. I'm sorry. I let Niji. This boy looks so much like the old me, it's really creepy. Just a little more and the psyche of the little one will not stand it. And the union will lose its heart. I'll ask you again, what do you have left in this world, Naruto? Stop suffering and join us. Obito held out his hand. A hand? He wants help? Hold out your hand, just reach out. Nothing's going to happen, is it? And Naruto holds out his hand. His blue eyes were frozen and hopeless. Slap! Naruto turns his head and sees Hyuga's evil eyes narrowed. Hinata is extremely serious and confident right now. The masked man tilts his head slightly. By watching. Remember what Niji and Aizen said, Naruto, your life is no longer yours alone. Do you understand what that means? Your ideals, your words, your desire, that's what we're fighting for here. That's what inspired Niji and allowed him to go so far. These are the principles. Not only are they yours, Naruto, but we all believe in them, and that's why we fight and protect each other. That's why we are a family. And now, if you give up everything, Niji's sacrifice will be meaningless. If you go back on your words, then it will kill our comrades, and we will cease to be a family. After all, you will never give up on yourself. It wasn't just Naruto who was listening intently to Hinata's words. His meaningless gaze was becoming more alive. And those who heard them were literally reborn anew. It was as if a new source had been discovered. It's true, isn't it? Naruto Uzumaki is like that. Stubborn, self-confident, standing up for his friends and principles. After all, Naruto would never betray himself, you say? Suddenly, Obito jumped on his tail. Cute Hinata and you, shinobi of the Alliance, do you really believe that? Incomprehension was reflected in their eyes. Of course we do, Obito! Kakashi chimed in. Those are your words, too. The old you. You were the same, don't you remember? Oh, yes. Obito drawled sarcastically. Say Uzumaki Naruto is stubborn. Yes, it is. Overconfident? Undoubtedly. Will he firmly follow his own path? And I can't argue with that. But there's one thing you haven't considered. The shinobi listened intently to the bitter voice. And they didn't understand. Naruto is a human just like you. And all humans can make mistakes. Madara replied for Obito as he indulgently surveyed the area with his rinnegan. You're wrong, this is... Sakura began to complain. It's Naruto. Obito finished for her, making them look at each other in surprise. Naruto this, Naruto that. How you all got tired. Don't you have your own head on your shoulders? Do you really think Naruto can handle everything on his own? Silence was his answer. Yes, that in this life, that in that life you are all the same impenetrable idiots and hangers-on. Obito suddenly lost his temper. The enemy's hand untied the strings that held the helmet-like mask on his head together. The Uchiha's head tilted to one side. The mask fell to the ground with a soft rustle. Burning with anger, confidence, and anger, the Hyuga clan heiress gave a strangled gasp and slowly sank to her knees. Losing consciousness. An unimaginable amount of chakra swirled in a frenzied vortex around the cloaked figure. Her blonde hair was disheveled. The dark blue eyes looked at her with a certain regret, and at the same time with complete indifference. And the stripes, 3 on each cheek, knocked the ground out from under my feet. Standing in front of the frozen alliance shinobi was Naruto Uzumaki himself. Part 2. Contact point. Well, what do you think? It was Naruto. It was an exact replica of one obnoxious blonde man. Only his features had lost their youthful roundness, and his eyes were not so large they were squinted, and they looked indifferently at the army at his feet. Definitely this Naruto, or Obito, who used henge to get on the nerves of the shinobi, was older and stronger. Sakura breathed out in a choked voice, echoed by her more emotional peers. "Oh, I decided to take off my mask." "Commendable," Madara said, half-mockingly drilling his rinnegan at the stunned people. "How dare you copy Naruto? What's he up to? What's going on? The shinobi are already very tired. This war to save the world had already battered them, and the overwhelming odds of the enemy were driving out all hope. The deaths of dear people, relatives, and just acquaintances undermined the well-coordinated mechanism of the alliance from within. And their heart, the Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed, strongest Biju, slowly began to fade. Who are you?" Naruto didn't seem to fully understand what was going on, not reacting at all to any extraneous sounds. For him, there was only one person who existed right now, who for some reason put on the illusion of himself. What for? How nice. Naive Konoha shinobi continued to believe. The enemy drawled, expertly playing on nerves exposed like wires. "Do you know that you annoy me to death? Perhaps I would now tell you the heartwarming story of a young, much admired demon boy who defeated Madara Uchiha himself and sealed Jubi, who became the hero of all 5 countries of the villages and those that are smaller. That's just not the hatred felt by others in relation to the seemingly hero who saved the world. It's fear." But our naive boy continued to live, scattering in the rays of good, until his own wife died like a dead dog, just because that man's best friend naive Dandelion, the strongest ironing, Haruno Sakura, suddenly found herself unable to help. And even her teacher, O great 5th Hokage, one of the 3 great Sanins, just spread her hands. "My wife is dead." And then, on a mission, my only daughter, whom I named after a friend, Ino Yamanaki, failed to fight off enemy bandits. Then, as if that wasn't enough, one of my dearest friends, my favorite teacher, started pouring the strongest slow-acting poison into my food. I realized firsthand how Itachi felt in the last years of his life. And just at that moment, Yamato-san suddenly began to train my control over the fox, literally wrapping me with control seals. And you know, I might have died like this without understanding anything if the kids at the academy hadn't dared to trespass on my family's graves. Oh, you don't understand how I felt, standing over the half-decomposed bodies of my wife and daughter, whose monuments read, "May you die, demon!" Do you want to hear how I got to the bottom of this? Or go straight to the part where I let the Kyuubi out, and we had a lot of fun with Konoha, the village I died for twice? And with every word that was casually thrown out, with every name that was mentioned by this strange Naruto, the friends of his little copy understood the meaning of what was happening less and less. But they knew one thing for sure. "That's not true! How dare you lie to our faces?" Kiba shouted, trying in vain not to spit on the difference in strength and rush at the enemy. Who dared to insult the honor of his friend and his own honor? A murmur of agreement, full of indignant voices, echoed in Izuka. However, the screams subsided, and for some reason they themselves were covered with cold perspiration. It was as if every word they said only drove them into the abyss. "Hey, you said you weren't going to tell them? You're making a big mess of it, kid." Madara snorted dismissively, not happy about the boy's sudden outburst. "Oh, sorry, Uchiha, I forgot myself." To see their ugly faces again, torture, so to speak. Obito smiled out of the corner of his mouth. "Or are they still Uzumaki? Either way, Toby. We would never do that." "I could have made up a more improbable story," Sakura said confidently, but her voice trembled, her fingers trembling just looking at Toby. "Never, Naruto our friend, shut your mouth," snarled Toby, and his features somehow roughened and took on a predatory expression. One more word, and I'd love to kill you again. Haruno paled, her eyes wide, and the girl cringed in fear under the hateful gaze of her blue eyes. Enough talking. The Uchiha put an end to the exchange of remarks. That's the way it is. I felt from the very beginning that something was wrong here. Naruto wasn't listening to Tobi's story, and he wasn't listening to his friends either. He was trying to figure out what he should do and why Kurama was so unusually serious. You don't feel it? What? Tobi's chakra. It's completely identical to you and me. Except that our chakra only mixes during the cover of Biju and joint attacks, and this guy's. It's like she's always in this state. Wait a minute, such as we have? So, is that me? The fox was silent. He didn't know much about what was going on. One thought nagged at him, but the demon also stubbornly refused to take it into account. The truth behind it was too terrible. I don't know. I have some ideas, but it's too complicated. I'll analyze it, you fight. We need information. Wake up now, Naruto! The demon's words raised his morale a little. It seemed that everything was not so simple, because even with this bunch of hatred and anger, he managed to make friends. But a terrible premonition was gnawing at him from the inside out. It was as if they'd gotten in the wrong place and set off an irreversible mechanism. With a single click. You expect me to believe that? Don't underestimate me, you. I will defeat you and prove you wrong. Even in this guise. This place gives me the creeps. Soijetsu fidgeted, his vowels wailing tragically. If you've found everything you need, let's get out of here. Orochimaru grinned indulgently, clutching the Shinigami mask in his hands. Sasuke said nothing, but gave Soijetsu a very expressive look, and the swordsman immediately fell silent. Orochimaru said, looking around thoughtfully. What is it? Didn't we take what we needed? There was a hint of displeasure in his voice. Sannin chuckled. The little Uchiha hadn't fully learned how to control his own emotions. Funny. No, Sasuke-kun, it's very good. The Uchiha said nothing, turning and striding out of the Maelstrom's territory. The ruined village didn't seem friendly to him. We must hurry. The swordsman followed dejectedly, complaining about his fate and trying to make Sasuke lose his temper out of habit. Orochimaru adjusted his hood. Something was bothering him. Impudent boy, Snake hissed in his mind. I'm sick of you. I'll dissect you if you try to play God again. The Sannin slowly followed the rest of the group. They were on their way to Konoha, to his native village. There was a serious battle going on the field. Well, that's what the Alliance thought. On the peaceful face. It was clear to Naruto and Madara, who didn't fight at all, how unequal their strength was. Damn, we're too weak. And why was he wearing a Naruto mask? Sakura's indignation was boundless. Kakashi glanced at the hot-tempered student. He himself didn't understand Obito's motive. And something was bothering him. As if he'd missed something. Something very important, but what? CSR. The real Naruto yelled, throwing the raisin shuriken at his copy. It was strange fighting with myself. Although he had trained with clones before, this was different. Clones are easily dispelled, especially since they are his clones and he knows them as flaky. And here, with a living person. It's a strange feeling. Like it doesn't have to be, like he's making one mistake after another. Damn it, that's enough. Uzumaki couldn't stand it, drawing attention to himself, which was now focused only on him and his opponent. What is it? Naruto clutched his head, shaking it from side to side. It was like trying to get rid of a prolonged headache. He glared at his placid counterpart. Why are you so calm? Why, you idiot! But you. Can't you feel it? Copy, she expressed her bewilderment by cocking her head to one side. The shinobi hesitated, trying to decide whether to attack or if Naruto was losing his mind. What's he doing? We are at war, and he is. Sakura hissed. Something's wrong. His chakra went berserk. It gathers in the head, Kakashi said, tensely drilling the student's Sharingan. Hyuga's sensors must have noticed the change, too, and now they were wondering what was going on. Jutsu? I don't think I noticed any chakra flow from Tobi's side. What do I feel? Tobi asked, cracking the surface of the ground. Uzumaki cursed viciously in response. He wanted to destroy this man who had caused so much trouble to his friends, who had conceived such a devilish plan. But something was getting in the way. It prevented him from attacking such a similar enemy. Naruto knew on a subconscious level that this wasn't henge or an illusion. This is the true face of the villain. As if there's something against our battle. Uzumaki was furious. He was generally annoyed by the lack of understanding of the situation, as well as always. I had to think painfully. It was like Deidara was having fun in his head. I understand, the copy said, unexpectedly honest. It happened to me too. When I first came here. Here? Where here? This way. In this place, in this country, in this world, and how do you think your adult copy could appear here? The blonde finished sarcastically, continuing to break the ground. The shinobi didn't understand why they weren't fighting, but it was an opportunity to rest and recuperate. I don't think about anything at all. Naruto snapped, already tired of the ringing in his ears. It's still true. I was hoping that wasn't it. Kyubi said a little melancholy, forcing Jinchuriki to listen to him. What are you talking about? His eyes were already bulging with anger. About what? Even though you're my copy, I think I'll be smarter than you. What Uzumaki didn't expect was a mental continuation of the conversation with this person. What? Yes, you. Wait, how did you end up here? I see, said the fox, getting depressed. Of course, Toby said, ruining his hopes. Anyway, my name is Naruto Namikaze. I changed my last name a long time ago. What's going on? Part 3. I will change this world. What's going on here? Sasuke's team, Orochimaru, and the 4 former Kage were all staring intently at the madness below. Jubi unleashed thousands of monsters, and the Alliance's shinobi fought them fiercely. Despite being outnumbered, it was clear that the enemy wasn't using even a tenth of their strength. It was terrifying. Orochimaru had spent the entire trip informing Kage about the situation in the world, and now they more or less knew how it all started and why. But for Taka and Orochimaru, it was a startling revelation that Tobi's disguise was actually Naruto Uzumaki. A chakra skin revealed disappointing results. He really was changed, matured, with slightly different chakra flows, but this was it. Why? Are there 2 Narutos here? Minato asked, dumbfounded. Hiruzen was in the same position, although he still managed to snatch people from his village out of the crowd. Orochimaru said thoughtfully. There can't be 2 Narutos at the same time. This is really Uzumaki, and his chakra is similar to the mixed chakra of the Kyubi and his own. Biju mode? Sasuke asked without showing any surprise. Suigetsu was beside him, quietly freaking out, and Jugo was looking around the battlefield with a melancholy expression. It doesn't look like it. Naruto-kun has a different look in Biju mode, if you don't remember, Sasuke-kun. Actually, I didn't even see him, the Uchiha thought, covering his glowing Sharingan eyes. My son has grown up so much. Orochimaru felt a burning desire to knock the 4th one who had completely forgotten where he was. However, Minato was always known for his quick analysis of the situation. Can we assume that this Toby is Naruto from the future? Said the second Hokage, exchanging glances with his brother. Hashirama shrugged, like, what are you asking me? Maybe, but it seems worth intervening, especially since our Naruto-kun seems to be completely frozen. Snake commented on the situation. The Kage agreed with him. Naruto. Sakura ran to her friend's side, horrified to see Bijuu's modified bomb bearing down on them. The older Naruto gave a mocking shrug and took a step back. Wake up, you idiot! She slapped the frozen Jinchuriki Haruno across the face. Naruto turned his empty blue eyes on her. Sakura shivered. Hiraishin no Jutsu. A three-petaled kunai plunged into the ground in front of the teammates. Then, in a yellow flash, the fourth Hokage himself appeared. Sakura breathed a sigh of relief. I hope I'm not too late, Namikaze asked mockingly as he pulled out his kunai. The Baijidama moved into the ocean. And this? Who? Although Haruno was happy about the unexpected rescue, she was still on guard. Dead? Naruto looked at his father in confusion. Dead? So, is that your father Naruto? Sakura's gaze snagged on the inscription on the stranger's white cloak. The fourth Hokage. WH what? Chetwardi. Edo Tensei Isn't your soul in the Shinigami's stomach? Toby Naruto asked, cocking his head to hide his confusion. Ahaha, you could say that. Minato scratched his head thoughtfully. Orochimaru fell into a drop. A jerk, not a Hokage. The Sannin spat. Oh, by the way, Naruto, is this your girlfriend by any chance? Namikaze smiled. Haruno prepared to punch Naruto hard if he confirmed it. Oh my god! Toby Naruto was confused. Just try saying it's true, don't embarrass me! Sakura was surprised. If he's from the future, shouldn't he? Until his own wife died like the last dog, simply because this naive dandelion's best friend, the strongest ironing, Haruno Sakura, suddenly proved unable to help. RR, shut up! The girl screamed. No, that's not true! Hey, stupid vessel, how much longer will you please everyone with your stupid expression? Kyubi said irritably. No matter what, this future you is our enemy right now. Damn it, Kurama, have you forgotten? I can't even lay a finger on it. Just like he did me. Assholes, the older Uzumaki concluded. Hey, so you really are my son? From the future, or where are you from? For fired a Rasengan at the approaching monster. Hey, you already know the answer. Naruto smiled miserably and disappeared in an orange flash dot. Damn it, Minato said, frowning. What? This is your technique. Sakura was surprised. Ahem, well, he's also my son. Minato glanced at Naruto. Then it turns out, I have two sons? No, of course not. Sarutobi landed next to me. This senior of yours must be stopped. I'm sorry, Minato. No, you're nothing. The fourth waved his hands and hurried to his son from the present. It looks like your technique will be faster than mine, Tobirama exclaimed, jumping into space in front of the shinobi forces. Hashirama landed next to him, immediately looking for his old friend on the dais. The first and second Hokage. And the third, and even the fourth. So that's it. The Hokage saved us from being shot by Jubi. Yes, but who summoned them with Edo Tensei? Orochimaru, Sarutobi said mockingly. And we're here to put an end to this madness. Better late than never. Naruto chuckled, drawing Sakura's surprise. I've waited so long for this moment. Hashirama! Madara shouted triumphantly as he jumped down from the cliff. I'll talk to you later. The first one shouted back accusingly. Madara's face showed a whole gamut of emotions. The fourth man almost laughed as he saw the Uchiha's frozen half-smile. First of all, we need to take care of Jubi. He turned away from his former friend Senju, hiding a bitter smile at the corners of his mouth. Heh, and you still haven't changed. The Uchiha gripped the hilt of his gun trying not to make Hashirama laugh. He can make me lose my temper with a few words. A huge slime ball started forming in Jubi's mouth again. Looks like he's ready to attack again. The first one muttered, looking at the 10 tails. Naruto, you did a good job, get some rest. Minato advised his son with a smile. Your friend will be here soon, too. And don't worry, he's on our side, too. Minato, really this? Naruto finished Kurama's thought. So, Hokage, let's get started. Senju waved a warning hand. Namikaze instantly became serious. The chakra around the fourth flared up, and he was enveloped in the golden robe of the Biju regime. That's right. Sakura gasped. He looks exactly like Naruto. Damn me, and Minato too. Slapped Kurama's paws. Seen it? My father is a tough guy. Uzumaki gave him a thumbs up. Who are you telling this to? He's the one who sealed me into you. Wow, you've already marked out the battlefield, the third man said, looking at Namikaze's spatial kunai embedded in the ground. Yes, the fourth man said tensely. What a speed! I'm impressed. Tobirama grimaced. They're gone. Sakura muttered in confusion. Here we go. Ninpo. Hashirama folded the seal of concentration. After him, the other Kage placed their seals. Shikisi Kyujin. And for myself, Senpo. Mujinmin. 10 seals. Entered Hashiram's hermit mode. The huge arches pinned Jubi to the ground, causing Biju to growl furiously. Red barrier. Lee muttered as he stared at the towering barrier that appeared. It is several times more powerful than the barrier of the 4 purple lights and can only be installed by ninja of the Kage level. Guy was impressed. The younger Uchiha and Jugo landed spectacularly in front of the frozen Sakura and Naruto. You're late, Sasuke. What took you so long? Naruto asked as Sakura stared in disbelief at the newly appeared Nukenin. Sasuke-kun. HM. Sakura. The Uchiha replied, giving the girl a sidelong glance. Sasuke-kun! Sakura exclaimed, drawing attention to herself. Team Ino Shikacho Kiba and Shino instantly tensed up. What? Sasuke-kun? Ino asked, as surprised as Sakura was, jumping in their direction. Shikamaru landed nearby. Hey, stop, Ino. He's our enemy. Stay away from him. Chuji echoed his friend. Oh my god! You guys are still so noisy. He calmly responded to the Uchiha's angry looks. You bastard! Kiba shouted as he and Akamaru ran up to their former friend. How dare you show up here? Why are you here, Sasuke-kun? Sakura asked with bitterness in her eyes. A lot has happened. I decided to protect Konoha. And even more than that, I'm going to. Naruto tensed. To become Hokage, Sasuke stunned everyone. Instant shock and jaw dropping. What? The joke is unrealistically funny. Inuzuka freaked out. Since when does the Hokage accept renegade ninjas? You bastard, do you even understand the meaning of the word Hokage? After everything you've done. Nara shook his head disapprovingly. Have you really decided? Are you going to tell us to forget everything that happened? Shino asked rhetorically. Naruto's lip curled ironically. I'm the only one who's going to be Hokage in this village, the boy stated, getting in line with Sasuke. I'm going to burst into tears with emotion, so many people who want to become Hokage. But you see, there is a problem that requires your direct participation. Hashirama expressed his point irritably. Collect all the chakra you have. Our attack must be incredibly powerful. Naruto from the future looked around the battlefield with a melancholy expression. The war has turned into a hell of a mess. What snotty meetings, family reunions, unexpected friends. Are they fucking here to fight or something? Naruto spat at his feet. That little bastard, Hashirama. Madara raged beside him. What's the plan? As if you don't know. Namikaze replied no less angrily. This barrier. Knock out one of the Kage and the technique will stop. Which one of them? Tobirama. He is the creator of the rebirth technique. We miss the immortal dead afterwards. Master of water techniques. Interesting. In front of him is his father's kunai. Thunder rang out, an orange flash flashed, and a spatial funnel spun. In place of the second Hokage, dust descended smoothly. Ninpo, Shikiseki-kyujin. Ninja art building. 4 red suns. Senpo, Mujinmin. The art of the sage, the greatness of God's gate. Shishiinjin. Barrier of 4 purple lights, used by the sound ninja in Sarutobi vs Orochimaru. As for the second Hokage, of course Naruto from the future is pretty damn strong. Remember the Kyubi chakra and the 10 tails, and also, as you understand it, the flight of the Thunder God. And the surprise effect played into their hands. No one expected that Naruto Tobi could move to Minato's kunai. Well, fucking understood in short. I'll post another chapter in a couple of hours. Further events will not go according to canon. Part 4. At any cost. The red barrier blinked a couple of times and then disappeared. The field fell silent. What? Where is Tobirama? Senju was furious. Orange flash, Naruto from the future. He knows my technique. Minato replied. Thunder God's flight? And yeah. Damn, there's no time to relax. Jubi has unleashed new monsters. Madara looked at Hashirama triumphantly. You! Come down here! He pointed a finger at Uchiha Senju. Suddenly it was all over again. There was a flash of thunder, a flash of orange, and a terribly annoyed Naruto appeared. In Namikaze's eye, the Mangekyo Sharingan glowed like scarlet fire. Sharingan. From where? Mangekyo technique. Wait, this is it. Kakashi-sensei's eye. Kakashi took a step back. A small shiver ran through my body. What does this mean? He took the eye. Obito or... Naruto Jr. flashed his golden chakra and entered Biju mode. With determination in his eyes, Uzumaki nodded to the Uchiha standing next to him and ran towards his copy. Oh my god, the last Uchiha. Not counting me, of course. Madara snorted, landing next to Toby Naruto. Biju mode, are you hoping to stop me with just this? Rasengan! Instead of answering, Naruto slapped him. The older man melted mockingly into an orange flash. Kunai with orange symbols carved on them flew in all directions. Thunder began to roll, and golden and orange flashes flashed. The shinobi's eye couldn't keep up with Naruto's incredible speed and Namikaze's movements. Minato didn't interfere, but went with the rest of the Kage to destroy the monsters. Hashirama stopped in front of Madara. The others tried to clear the space. These battles are on a completely different level. Shall we fight again? The first one jumped up and down mockingly. Madara wanted to kill him. Of course. And this time I will win. The Uchiha suddenly put his hands out in front of him. Shinra Tensei! Oh ho ho, Rinnegan and the power of the 10 tails. Yes. You don't stand a chance, Hashirama! The Uchiha burst out laughing, pulling one of the monsters towards him and throwing it towards Senju. A tree clone. The monster was knocked out by the clone's wooden fist. Rasen shuriken. There was a sharp whistle. Are you an idiot? Toby suddenly appeared behind him. I can easily dodge it. Uzumaki didn't answer, jumping out of the way. Damn, what should I do? As soon as I approach him with a rinnegan, I feel like I'm being fried from the inside out. We can't fight, little one. Namikaze waved his hand, trying to ward off the persistent burning sensation in his chest. Maybe he shouldn't, but what about me? Sasuke appeared in front of him in a surprisingly wordy voice. Naruto clenched his fists as he looked at his impudent friend. This is my fight. Dobe, you can't even touch it, as I've noticed. Strong words came out. You're right, Uchiha. He can't. Who said you were? Can you do it? Sharingan. The three tomoyo flashed and disappeared, giving way to the mangekyo pattern that was forming. It's useless. Three tomoyo swirled in Tobi Naruto's right eye as if in mockery. That jerk. What was he up to? An unknown man hissed irritably from somewhere above. First you destroyed our world, now you're here. You bastard. Kia! Shattered the skull of another creature, Sakura. The girl looked around the battlefield, trying to figure out what to expect next. The picture was not encouraging. Monsters were constantly arriving, making it difficult to get close to Ten Tails. Although Sakura did not understand what they could do to this monster from chakra, and the powers of shinobi, even if united by all 5 villages, are not unlimited. Her muscles ached from constant exertion until Sakura decided to use the 5th wave technique, but her chakra reserve wasn't infinite. Somewhere near Gutsuga, Kiba and Akamaru were tearing the bodies of the creatures to pieces. Shino was poisoning them from the inside with poisonous bugs. Ino Shikacho's team worked together, sweeping everything around with a huge bun. The girl asked herself rhetorically, smashing the ground with her fist. Hack Rokujian Sho. Hinata's voice rang out very close. Haruno turned around and saw Princess Hyuga, her eyes wide from using her byakugan and draining her chakra, twisting and jumping around the field. Beads of sweat trickled down his forehead and the swollen chakra channels at his temples. They were really tired. 2 strikes, Hinata said, and with light touches of her palm, she achieved almost the same effect as Sakura herself with powerful chakra bursts. What can you do belonging to a clan automatically made you a monster in taijutsu? 16 strikes, 32 strikes. The girl dodged the creature's paw in confusion. Hinata switched off her byakugan, staggering with fatigue. Move forward, rejecting fear and indecision. This is the key to victory. 64 strokes. Sakura paled. So much for the quiet one. *****ch. From where? For the first time in years, it seemed, his mental balance was disturbed. And who would have thought that someone will be Naruto, albeit from the future? Uzumaki was also, to put it mildly, taken aback. Sharingan. What did you get your Sharingan? I mean, wait, it means, and I will have it in the future. Namikaze slapped his forehead. A red stroke of chakra and he was already hovering over his small copy, smiling indulgently. Of course I knew I was a jerk. But not to the same extent. Sasuke chuckled in agreement. Naruto turned purple. You would have received the Sharingan if the story had passed without my intervention. But I am from the future, and this is a different branch of probability, which does not have any contact with the future that this world is waiting for now. I don't understand. Naruto's whole face expressed his attitude towards these abstruse words. And Sasuke seems to have already begun to guess. Damn it! There will be no betrayal of Konoha and your friends in your future. In your future, your wife may still be alive, or you may not marry at all, dying alone. Things will be different in your future. Different from what I experienced. Just because I'm here. Uzumaki lowered his gaze. His mind was racing, but he couldn't find a dot I could understand what the man was talking about. Him, that is. You mean that you changed the past? Namikaze idly surveyed the battlefield, playing with his kunai. The Sharingan in his eyes stopped flashing tomo and faded. The old blue returned to her irises. God, you finally figured that out, yes. How did you get your Sharingan? Your eye is blue. And it looks like you can deactivate it. Sasuke extinguished the Manjiko flame in his eyes, but pulled out his katana, ready to launch an attack if anything happened. He didn't like this future loser at all. This future Naruto was scary, even though some part of his brain kept telling him that nothing had changed, that this was the same stupid kid he'd once considered a friend. Only the indifferent gaze that glided over familiar faces suggested otherwise. Well, let's say Orochimaru didn't stop his dojutsu experiments and research. And a few years after the war, secretly from everyone, he performed an operation for me to introduce some properties of Sharingan. Of course, the unused eye was taken as a model. Orochimaru artificially enlarged it and transferred the properties to my right eye. Cool stuff, I'll tell you, Sasuke. Naruto chuckled with that old smile. The Uchiha fell into a stupor. Artificially grown Sharingan? Passing properties? What is the future behind Naruto's deliberately icy irises? However, years of self-control didn't let Sasuke get lost. He quickly regained his composure and swung his katana into a crouch. Namikaze chuckled as he idly created a Rasengan in his hand. The sphere of chakra pulsed as Naruto's hand bounced up. He didn't seem to care that the simplified version of Bijuda might ruin the whole place if he accidentally slipped in. Uzumaki, meanwhile, listened to Kurama's lost explanation, which, however, due to Biju's confusion, did not explain anything. Rikudo Sannin created this technique and showed it to us. Time teleportation was only known to us, the 9 demons, and Rikudo himself, even his sons didn't know it. Apparently something happened in that reality that the future me decided to use it. Is there a limit to the movement? Well, I mean temporary. Hell, you can only go 5 years or 10. I get you, Naruto. No, I do not know. Rikudo said that the knowledge of this technique seemed to come up by itself. He also said that he used this technique at the very moment of his death. Then Jubi broke out and Rikudo, trying to save the world, moved to the past and there divided Datara into 9 clots of chakra. So we were born. Sasuke charged at Namikaze, shooting lightning chakra at the blade of his katana. Naruto scoffed and moved to one of the kunai Kida. Hold on, you want to say, but what happened to Rikudo's past? After all, now the future me and the real me are together. Well, that is, whatever happened there. Uchiha, having turned on the Sharingan, ran with great speed after the future Naruto. However, the constantly rumbling thunder and orange flashes of chakra obstructed the view. I don't know. No one knows. But I suspect that due to his actual death, only his soul has moved back in time. He must have taken over his own body, and well, a lot of options. Of course, a lot of energy is spent. No, not even that, just an incredible amount. Even for me. Namikaze froze, creating a platform out of an air cushion, directly above the head of Uchiha Jr., intently peering at the raging Jubi. Where did the future me get so much chakra from? Flash, flash, thunder, a stunned Uchiha sending a small bolt of lightning after him. Naruto shifted to 10 tails, apparently losing control of him. Not the chakras, stupid. Energy consumption. Chakra is the internal energy that shinobi used to create techniques. Well, you know that, so many years after all. Kurama, damn it, you say Inajaya. Here we mean the vital energy of a person, an animal, which supports life itself in a physical incarnation. Of course, now shinobi have learned how to seal chakra in non-living objects or impregnate weapons with it. But initially, the chakra only supported life. And energy is, you can say, what is the source of this chakra in general. In this case, the planet itself. Ten Tails roared as if to confirm Kyuubi's words. Madara looked thoughtfully at the motley crowd struggling with Jubi particles. Waves of chakra found echoes in his long-dead soul. Planet, did I destroy a planet? Kyuubi was silent. But this silence was more eloquent than any words. Naruto shivered at the realization of the catastrophe that had occurred in the future. Sasuke was saying something in a displeased tone, but the blond man, frozen for the umpteenth time in an hour, didn't respond. A pale hand suddenly appeared in front of my eyes and waved. Yuto. Hey Naruto, Dobe. The Uchiha couldn't stand it and slapped his cheek. Uzumaki woke up and blinked. What? My throat was dry. Sasuke scared in exasperation and pointed a finger in the direction of the combatants. You haven't forgotten? We have a war, by the way. Naruto watched the Uchiha drive the blade back into its scabbard with a practiced movement, then turned and walked straight into the thick of the fighting. A minute later, an angry Sasuke's fireball erupted there. Naruto, I know you're a little off right now, but whatever the future self might do in the future, I'll stop him. I won't let anyone touch my friends. Even to myself. Naruto slammed his fist down grimly on his open palm and grinned as he leapt after his friend. Tra-ta-ta, and I'm rewriting a part of the manga again. I'm already tired of rereading it. The last chapters are lost in my memory, and now instead of vague dreams about school, I dream how Madara defeats everyone. Maybe it's a sign from above. Interlude 1. An 8-year-old girl ran through the dusty streets of Konoha, bouncing merrily at every step. Her blue eyes twinkled with amusement, and her golden hair was pulled back in a loose ponytail. The young kunoichi hurried home to her beloved father. Naruto sat on the veranda, thoughtfully reading the report of the young Chunin team entrusted to him. The team consisted of 3 people as standard. Just 2 years ago, released from the academy, they lost their Jonin mentor in one of the missions, so after passing the Chunin exam with brilliance, Naruto himself, the hero of the 5 great countries, was seconded to them. The young ninjas were beaming with genuine admiration and hidden envy. But with pure white envy. By the time Naruto was 28 years old, he was the strongest shinobi on the mainland, as the top of Konoha did not fail to mention. The post of Hokage, so passionately and long cherished by Naruto, has not yet been given to him. Although he genuinely wondered why. Surely Granny doesn't want to retire, he thought. Dad! Daddy! His beloved daughter flew into the yard like a yellow hurricane. Her eyes glittered greedily from under her long bangs at the sight of the scroll lying carelessly at her father's feet. What can you do? The girl was like a sponge, so greedily absorbed knowledge. Although I must admit the little girl knew the theory better than many hardened archivists, but in practice she was a little lame. Kushina, is class over yet? The first child in the Uzumaki Hyuga family, with the unconditional consent of both parents, was named after Naruto's mother. Although, what kind of Uzumaki is she? No, she bore the proud name Namikaze, almost like her father, who had a double surname. Yes. The girl winked mischievously. Yes, in character, as well as appearance, she went to the energetic and hot-tempered Uzumaki, which made Hinata's father a little sad. Although Hyuga's generational arrogance was also making itself felt. At such moments the girl began to resemble her father, who, with age, learned to respond to provocations with a cold look of blue eyes and chilling insults. When the girl was first introduced to Hyuga's inner circle after a long stay outside of Konoha, she was met with outright disdain. Hi, she loved his granddaughter, but the presence of his advisors forced him to give the bored little girl a cold look and ask her not to scream. It was then that Kushina showed her character for the first time. Her fathomless blue eyes had faded, and her lips were curled into a soft half-smile. The 6-year-old girl shut up the elders who were speaking with one look and said that she was going to a meeting with the inner circle. And he doesn't understand at all what the hell respected elders are doing here, who are ashamed to be interrupted from undoubtedly important matters for the sake of a simple family dinner. Well done, honey. Namikaze Uzumaki put the report sheets in a pile and beckoned his daughter to come to him. The little girl ran up to her father with a squeal of joy. Naruto stroked his daughter's hair with a gentle smile. Kushina gave him a resounding peck on the chin, kicking clumsily at the already empty cup. The cup rolled, its white sides flashing, and then stopped. Right at the feet of Hinata's laughing daughter. Kushina, welcome back! How was your day? Naruto smiled and looked at his beloved wife. Great! Today we had training fights. The girl looked a little sad. But unfortunately, I didn't win. Two unhappy blue eyes stared back at them. Just like Naruto, Kushina's eyes would change color at such times. Nothing, honey. Do not immediately expect an easy victory. Even more so, you can't underestimate your opponent, even if a little girl like you comes up against Jongin. Such a seemingly harmless opponent may have a trump card up his sleeve. Yes, you're right, Dad. Simply, aren't you ashamed of me? Kushina was about to cry. Honey, whatever happens, we won't be ashamed of you. You are our daughter, our blood. We brought you up, raised you, and if anything happens, we will be to blame. But I'm sure you won't let that happen, will you? Hinata, after so many years of marriage, has learned not to blush at the sight of a famous blonde. And she smiled back easily. And for her daughter, she was ready to tear up everyone, even Lady Tsunade, and go against the entire Hyuga clan. Of course, there were no suicide bombers, but Princess Hyuga still found respect among her relatives. Kushina turned somewhat dumbfounded to her father for support. Only then did she smile happily. The kunoichi jumped up from Naruto's lap and happily reported back to the house. Naruto and Hinata watched her go, looked at each other, and laughed. In the end, they both knew very little about parental love. And they didn't want their daughter to go through what they did. It was too hard. Come to me, sweetheart. Namikaze smiled. The brunette sniffed anxiously before sliding down to Naruto's side. Are you cooking something? Yes, I wanted to make that cake with melted chocolate filling. Remember how Ino-chan made it when we celebrated her birthday? Ah, yes, of course I remember. How come I didn't smell your cooking? Naruto said jokingly. Hinata puffed out her cheeks, clearly holding back the laughter that was bursting out. The blond man scratched his head thoughtfully, looking discouraged. Why were you sniffing? A young Jongin tried to tease his wife. However, Hyuga mischievously flashed her pearly eyes and grinned. Women's logic is a terrible thing, the girl said, her eyes widening innocently. And finished it off. Against her, as against the green suit of Gai-sensei and Likuin, it's useless. And Hinata ran off into the kitchen with a roar of laughter, leaving her husband to choke in agonized convulsions from laughter. Part 5. The future is on our heels. Naruto, we finally found you. The monsters made of the Ten-Tails flesh stopped their advance, huddled under the demon's huge bulk. The combined army of the 5 shinobi countries froze, obeying the order of the commander-in-chief who had appeared on the battlefield 5 minutes ago. The Kazekage was accompanied by an enraged Karen and a snide Suigetsu. I must say, the members of the Taka team didn't really like the current situation, but there was nothing to do. They didn't dare to object to Sasuke's orders with Orochimaru's strong authority. And Jugo himself is loyal to the Uchiha as long as he keeps his word. Gaara quickly built up the army, which had been slightly decayed during the battles. The shinobi had no choice but to observe the situation in order to react in time and join the battle. Gaara and people who knew Naruto personally were forced to follow the fights of friends who rushed to the enemies. The chakra hovering near the tentails created a sort of limited zone in it. The chakra was mutated and accelerated its pace, vision sharpened, hearing became sharper many times. Therefore, the statement made in the usual tone by the new faces who suddenly appeared on the dais next to Detera Hill was a shock. Namikaze and Uzumaki. And both Naruto. What an irony, Oya. Former ANBU Sai root fighter, Orochimaru's test subject, team member Takahozuki Sujetsu, former prison warden Orochimaru, censor and Irina Uzumaki Karen, and of course, Nuknin, officially the last Uchiha and Sharingan bearer, Uchiha Sasuke. So familiar and alien at the same time. Karen, don't be ridiculous. That's not why we came here. Sujetsu rolled his eyes, sporting a standard ninja uniform without a vest, but its color was dark gray. Wow! The small Hozuki was speechless. Wow! Is that me? So small? Karen asked cheerfully, adjusting her much shortened hair. The usual glasses that the girl was always tugging at were gone. Well, who else, bitch? Sai grinned. Yes, Sai was probably the most different of all from his younger self. Her long black hair was pinned back with either hairpins or chopsticks, her face was more pointed, and her lips were curled in a completely sincere smile. You're a Lilicon victim. The girl grimaced, trying to kick the guy on the head. The thin artist calmly dodged, waved his pen at her, and leaped down the hill. Fortunately, the former Anbyushnik had enough skill, but Karen didn't have the desire to pursue him. Honey, if you kill him, Naruto won't be happy. And when this blonde is unhappy, the Uchiha is ready to mow right and left with his katana. The Uchiha, who is ready to mow right and left, frowned and dismembered Hozuki into 1,000 small swordsmen with one glance. Karen clicked her tongue. The group of people took turns moving closer to the center of the action. Hey, look how many people have come to meet us. Sai admired, pacing the front lines. Sai? Is that you? Sakura asked in disbelief. The ninja uniformed Sai who descended from his bird was absolutely in solidarity with her. Well, yes, but what doesn't look like? The artist pouted jokingly, but his narrowed eyes were like a sharp razor in Sakura's face. She flinched at the blatant dislike. Whatever had happened in the past, Sai had never looked at her like that. Burning with emotions, even negative ones. I'll rip Naruto's head off myself. The adult Karen clenched her fists belligerently, approaching herself and throwing her hand over her shoulder in a proper way. What are you doing? Karen of this world shrugged her off. The touch pricked her like a spike, leaving her uncomfortable. I don't understand. This redhead and me? Yes, how? How did this happen? Are you also from the future? And you're going to destroy us too? Kiba went straight to the point, pushing Sujetsu aside. Akamaru growled in agreement. Not exactly. I don't really care about you personally, Fleabag. Who's the fleeter? I love you. Kiba-kun. What a lovely evening. Sujetsu mumbled in a melancholy tone as he adjusted his vest in exasperation. Next to him, a younger version of him struggled hysterically, whose attempts to shake the truth out of himself ended in failure. What night? Did you hit your head after moving it? Right now it's night. On the contrary. We've come to stop our Naruto. Sai began, then turned patiently to his companions. Sujetsu, please calm down your restless wife. It's like 1,000 birds are screaming in my head. My wife? Sujetsu and Karen shouted at the same time, jumping away from each other in terror. Have you lost your fear? Namikaze shrugged irritably. The whole war turned into a farce. Grown-up copies appear from somewhere, their prototypes in this world, and horror learn new details about themselves. Relatives find each other. What are you here for? I remember that earlier you were not enthusiastic about this idea. You. And you, well, nifigure yourself. Uzumaki was surprised as he landed next to his adult self. So that's it. Either we continue the war, or we pack up and fill up the zaibi and go drink. The first Hokage who unexpectedly fell from the sky drew a bold line to the negotiations. On the dais next to Datara, Madara nodded in agreement to Hashirama's words. HM. And Namikaze disappeared. In the next chapter, the sky was overcast. The aliens from the future looked at each other anxiously. Ten Tails roared, sending compressed rays of terrifying chakra into the clouds. Madara closed his eyes and then, with a jerk, moved to the standing Hokage. Thunder rumbled and rain began to fall. Something's happened. Tears trickled down Sai's cheeks, mixing with the raindrops. Rin frowned and, without holding back, tiredly leaned her face against the shoulder of the stone pillar of the frozen Sujetsu. Part 6. A sun covered in darkness. The sky was overcast. The shinobi watched the wild weather as if spellbound, forgetting for a few moments where they were. The heavy, cold drops sobered and cooled their wild heads. And then came the realization of something inevitable. It was as if fate itself had turned its back on them, no longer defining their lives, passing the reins of power into someone else's hands. Hands that knew no mercy, and trouble was coming as surely as waves on the seashore crashing into unapproachable rocks. What's going on? Sakura asked, her voice trembling with excitement as she stared straight into space in front of her. She didn't expect an answer, but she did get one. But it would be better if the girl didn't say anything at all. My stupid little brother decided to ruin this world after all, Rin whispered bitterly, leaning on her unusually silent husband's shoulder. Kairin's words echoed in the hearts of the shinobi, who immediately began to turn in their direction. What you're saying that? Ino exclaimed in horror, covering her face with her hands as she and her team came a little closer. A low murmur rippled through the crowd, causing Sujetsu's lips to curl into some kind of misguided grin. Karen, who was sobbing on his shoulder, got a hateful look from her real self. It seems that the Uzumaki of this world has not yet come to terms with such a strange relationship with her partner. Rin told the truth. Sai, who had called the girl by her first name and had been methodically throwing insults at her before, also received one unreadable look from the black eyes of his copy. Naruto-kun, he didn't just slaughter the people of Konoha. He destroyed our world and there is no place left for us in it. Horror whispered softly through the ranks of the unwavering early shinobi. He seemed to have taken over everyone, reveling in their self-will. And his heart was lost in darkness. Emerald? How? How did he do it? Do you think I know that? Rin raged, wiping away angry tears. Sujetsu gave her shoulder a warning squeeze. He's a jerk, an idiot playing God. Actually, shinobi are used to the Uchiha's taciturnity. And, as it seemed to them, it was unlikely that he could change in the future. So suddenly Sasuke, who had opened up, was stunned not by the words themselves, but by their presence in general. Hey kid, are you alive in there? Or did he die of surprise? Kurama? Well, yes, why? Why so quiet? Kyubi snapped grumpily, fluffing out his tails. Well, you know. I have so much on my plate, I don't even know what's going on. In general, why did I become such a person? Where do all these people from the future come from? You answered your last question yourself, you idiot. Kurama interrupted Jinchuriki's angry tirade. Well, let's get into the situation. Because of the fact that you just stand like a statue, it will not be easier for anyone. In some situations, you know, Biju mimicked, you need a brain, not bare muscles. Yes, I know, I'm not stupid. The guy sighed heavily, ruffling his unruly hair. Well, go ahead. HM. Can you explain what's going on? You seem to be aware of this, the Uchiha said, asking himself from the future. Sasuke frowned at what he thought was an overly curious copy of himself. But during the war, he seemed much more mature to himself. Sasuke, stop chuckling. You really know better than we do what happened back then and what's happening now, Rin said, ignoring Kairin's angry looks. The clouds seemed to have gathered more tightly over the tall man's head, and some of the more impressionable ones thought they saw lightning strike the ground. Hey! Remove your illusions! I won't leave you alone anyway! Rin protested, understanding the situation faster than anyone else. The others flinched, probably forgetting that in addition to Susanoo, Amaterasu, and Tsukuyami, there were also the simplest genjutsu techniques. Sai will tell you, he said, pointing at the exasperated, long-haired former ANBU. Everyone immediately stared at the disheveled Sai. Sai of this world, thinking that all the fun was over, flew off somewhere on his archival affairs. Once again, the shinobi were amazed at what time does to people. No one expected it, such a Saya from the future. Noticing the serious interest of some of them in him, the ANBU Schmick pursed his lips and shrugged his shoulder, as if to shake himself off. Oh, you Uchiha, you blamed everything on me, Sai hissed. And Konoha residents were again surprised by such a change, not only of the image, but also of the character itself, usually a melancholic friend. How else? Sakura watched their conversation impatiently, but she wasn't the only one. Sai looked around at all the old and new acquaintances who had gathered like a predator scenting prey, and sighed. Okay. I will briefly describe the situation, and if everything goes as I expect, I will explain the details later. Give birth already faster, Rin remarked nervously, anxiously listening to the chakra swirling around her. That's just Zayabi Nihilo so obstructed the view, and even started the battle of the Titans first and Madara with their release of chakra. Sai said nothing, not responding to Kairin's shout, only giving her a sympathetic look of encouragement. So that's it. Naruto-kun used an ancient technique that was created by Rikudo Sennin and was used, as Naruto-kun said, only once, to open the gate that shows the past, present, and future. Naruto-kun. I chose the past, approximately. Say, about 3 years ago. Sai ignored the surprised hubbub. We didn't understand anything at first, Rin said, taking the thread of the story into her own hands. The world literally began to dry up. It was as if someone had drained all the juices, draining all the energy. Naruto didn't touch us, thinking we couldn't hurt him. And we were not in the village at that moment. Yeah, counting, Sujetsu said with a mirthless grin. He's using his Sharingan. Sharingan? Those who hadn't seen him during the battle gasped. Don't interrupt. Anyway, Sai found us and led us to the gate. I do not know why, but they were open, as if something was holding them back. So we jumped in. Why? Hatake couldn't stand it. Rin looked at him accusingly, sighing heavily. I wonder how we could live in a world where life itself has flowed away. The sadness reflected in Uzumaki's eyes made one shiver. How does Sai know all this? Gaara asked, puzzled. And from the change in Sai's gaze, I knew I'd hit the heart of it. More details later, Akashi said harshly. The rain suddenly stopped. People did not have time to enjoy the sun coming out, when suddenly an incredible wave of terrifying chakra, even more terrifying than the Ninetales ki, was released outwards, knocking the entire army to the ground. Caca! A crimson trickle of blood dripped from the corner of Rin's mouth. Karen, like herself from the future, was a censor, and the wave literally caused her incredible pain. The girl couldn't stand it anymore and fell flat on her face at Orochimaru's feet. Her nose also started to bleed. The Hyugi, with their Byakugan activated, clutched at their eyes, which were pierced with searing pain. A drop of blood also rolled down from the right eye of the Uchiha standing next to Naruto. Sasuke of this world, the future Uchiha, took the blow more firmly, though he staggered. We're too late. The sentence came out of Suigetsu's cracked lips as he bent over his wife in a desperate attempt to protect her from that chakra. Madara smiled slyly. No, not really. Naruto-kun, no. Hinata repeated on her knees, mesmerized. She stubbornly activated her Kekkei Genkai again and again, ignoring the burst blood vessels and reddened cheeks. Gaara, as if spellbound, watched as Tomo of the cursed Sharingan bloomed one by one in Hinata's pearly eyes, and his heart disappeared into the darkness. Meaning the heart, the cause of this horror, Naruto Namikaze, disappeared. Part 7. God of the New World. Hi. Hinata! The Kazekage jerked up beside the frozen girl. The chakra that rippled out from the hill where Ten Tails stood was painful. But for the former Jinchuriki, this pain was familiar, although it was many times stronger than the one that caused Shikaku. Hinata, who was in the process of forming a Sharingan in her eyes, stared at it with wide eyes. Where her hope was dying. Screams of pain, of terror, stuck in my throat, and Ki held me down, holding me down, mesmerizing me with her power alone. Even the stronger shinobi resisted the pressure with the last of their strength. Dobe, idiot, Jinchuriki Kyubi tensely watched as Sasuke, who was so similar and at the same time so different from his friend, came with a strange company from the future, trying to take a step towards the source of Ki. Padok. Wait, me, teach. His long black hair shot up and the young artist fell to the ground, falling into a dreamless sleep for the first time in so many years without his own volition. Sigh. Suigetsu hugged the unconscious Rin and tried to pull his friend to him. Hozuki's trembling hand stopped in its tracks. And its owner, a limp bag, buried his face in the ground, covering the Uzumaki. What the hell happened? Walking? Kurama! Naruto couldn't see it. To see his friends pass out one by one, and it is not known if they are still alive or if this demonic chakra has destroyed them. Oh no. If he can't stand it. Hold on, please, hold on. The fox whispered as if on cue, listening intently and peering through the eyes of his Jinchuriki. What? About? What are you talking about? Stop! Stay there, Naruto. Don't you dare approach or interfere with this process. Kyubi shouted, covering his scarlet eyes with his paw. Meddle in what, Databayo? Naruto couldn't stand it. You'll see. Stop! You Sasuke, right? Stay out of it. Naruto spoke through the pressure, drawing attention to himself. The shinobi, unable to even speak, listened eagerly, hoping to get answers to the questions swarming in their heads. About what? You say? Kurama, he said not to climb. The Uchiha stubbornly pursed his lips and fixed his eyes on the katana held by his prototype in this dimension. A strange sadness froze in Sasuke's eyes, and he forced himself to look away from himself as he desperately tried to get to his feet. Hinata lost track of time. Her lips were still whispering the names so dear from her childhood, blood was running down her cheeks, and her legs were unsteady. Hyuga was on her knees, one hand clinging to someone who was supporting her, but she couldn't turn her head to find out who had helped her, and the other was tearing at the ground. Her eyes burned mercilessly, but Hinata couldn't bring herself to close them, still trying to see something only she could see on the horizon. and then 3 Tomoyo spun, taking her consciousness somewhere far away, and the girl went limp like a limp doll in the hands of the dog No. The shinobi army collapsed at once. In the place of unwavering warriors, ready to fight to the end for the world and life in it, lay unconscious people. Madara and Hashirama stopped fighting for a while, looking at the chakra haze that was burning over that era without speaking. Boy! The Uchiha spat as an insult. Hashirama squinted at it, and then looked back at it. What's going on out there? You'll see. Madara snapped. Tsunade-sama. Katsuyu, who was covering the 3 Kage, became weak. Shit, whatever they are. Katsuyu. The woman who was on the verge of death was holding on with all her strength, remembering that the lives of her colleagues now completely depend on her. I can't take it anymore. Tsunade-sama, them. You're alive and I. And the huge slug looked around in fright, and then disappeared in the haze of the summoning. The 5th Hokage fell to the ground, hitting her head painfully. But the woman, whose life was once again teetering on the edge, did not feel the blow. Orochimaru watched the shinobi's reaction to Datara's chakra with a curious interest, even though he was almost dying from the cold of her grave. Except that he, who had crossed the line so many times, almost liked the Shinigami's smile that he could see on every face. Suddenly, the pressure started to weaken. The pitiful remnants of the army, gasping in the poisoned air, tried to come to their senses. Is it over? Naruto was even surprised, as Kurama was holding back his energy with all his might, saying that if he intervened, he would only make things worse. No. Can't be. And as Naruto watched in amazement, Sasuke slowly fell to his knees, trying to reach Sai. His friend from that time looked anxiously at his adult self, trying to figure out what exactly would cause him to also collapse, with such a desperate expression on his face. Sasuke already knew what it was, but his mind didn't want to accept it. Not again. What's going on with your future? Naruto turned to his friend and stopped in mid-sentence. The blue eyes widened. Right now, the 2 Uchiha girls looked exactly like each other, and there was so much longing in their black eyes that Uzumaki couldn't say anything. Kurama was silent, because he had already seen this despair, for years ago, in the Valley of Completion. The haze of chakra dissipated. A tall figure stepped forward. Naruto, who was trying to rouse Sasuke, did not pay attention to this, while both Uchiha gradually came to life before his eyes. But the longing in their eyes was replaced by awe. And Naruto, seeing such an uncharacteristic Uchiha expression for the first time in his life, jerked around. The boy got his way, Madara said. He survived, thank you Rikudo, although, something tells me that now I will swear. Glory to you, Naruto. Kurama breathed out with relief, having relaxed all the muscles of his body at once and collapsed in a heap in Uzumaki's subconscious. What happened? Naruto wondered. Look out. Watch carefully. Now it's up to him, and you. Whether Naruto Namake's rebirth will lead to the dawn of our world or its decline, it's up to you. What? Unbelievable. Charming. Terrifying. Yes, that was the way to describe what had happened in front of them. Rebirth of Rikudo Sannin. Ten-tailed Jinchuriki. Namake's Naruto. God of the New World. Part 8. Ashes of Leaves. I will destroy this world. Just 4 words, a single phrase spoken in a detached voice, only once expressed emotions, and the world shuddered. The pitiful remnants of the army, which had joined forces for the first time in the history of the great countries, listened in amazement to the humming silence. From the hill where Namake stood, curving lightning bolts shot up. Thunder broke out. Dark clouds began to gather around the lightning bolts that had turned into a blinding pillar of light, swirling in a whirlpool. Sparks flew from the heavens to the ground, leaving the people moaning in pain untouched. The fog spread out in wisps across the field, creating an eerie atmosphere. The techniques that came out of his hands, uttered with cracked lips, could not dispel the whitish haze. Even without sensory abilities, it was clear that this fog was literally poisoned by the Ten Tails' poisonous chakra. The strongest shinobi of the villages, Kage, resurrected and active, two Jinchuriki, carriers of dojutsu, improved genomes, without saying a word, bared their teeth and moved with silent steps in the direction from which the superhuman power was still felt. Sakura, who was desperately trying to heal herself with her chakra, stared intently into the fog. There was no visibility, even the girl could not see her fingers, she could feel them. Her racing heart was telling her something terrible, something that wasn't going to come easily. A bad feeling was eating Haruno up inside, but she couldn't find the reason for it. I couldn't yet. Of course. I hate you. Something hard touched her neck. Sakura froze, horrified to recognize the voice that was both familiar and hateful to her. What? The girl turned around. How is this possible? Die. A soft death rattle filled the silence, but life still lingered in the cooling body. The girl's green eyes widened, and moisture gathered at the corners. How so? This wasn't genjutsu or mental confusion. The girl had a very good sense of reality. So why? Why did this happen? How could you? Kakashi-sensei. The white-haired shinobi stared blearily at the stiffening corpse at his feet. Something stirred in his chest, almost physically painful, but he ignored it. Who doesn't have heart problems these days? The jounin stepped over the former student's body, disappearing silently into the mist. Shino sent out his loyal bugs in all directions. Unfortunately, the insects that were saturated with the amount of chakra in the air fell without flying even 5 meters away from the host. And Shino was never a censor. A cold voice rang out like a battle cry in his ear. Aburame spun around, the fog losing its consistency, allowing him to see the intruder. When Shino saw it, he didn't put down the kunai clenched in his fist. There are no illusions in this fog. Hey, Shino, what are you doing? My partner exclaimed. Shino surreptitiously tested it with the bugs, since it was closer than 5 meters away. No, it's nothing, Kiba. Yes, it's really him. But where is Akamaru? You can't see anything in this stupid fog, Kiba said indignantly. Aburame let out a sigh of relief. Inuzuka doesn't change at all. Only, what is this strange feeling? The inevitable? Yes, something like that. Shino turned sideways, trying to see where they were going next. Aha! Kiba leaned on his shoulder. We'll find it, of course. We'll find it. We'll find another Kaike. And then Shino shuddered from an incredibly strong punch to the stomach. His glasses were off, and his eyes were wide. But how? Die, bug-eater. Another body dropped to the ground, and the young Chunin grunted, wiping the blood from his overgrown claws on his former friend's cloak. Attack, Naruto! Northwest, 500 meters. Thank you, Kurama. Sasuke, on the right. Chidori Nagashi. A bolt of lightning shot from Sasuke's hand and pierced the fog with a crack. The Uchiha and Uzumaki who were running in that direction tensed as they listened. Naruto, without ceremony, turned on the Biju mode and prepared to attack. The chakra paws that broke out of the cover on his back began to form a Rasen Shuriken in his right hand. Sasuke activated the Mangekyo Sharingan and pinpointed the location of the adult copy of Naruto. Futon! Rasen Shuriken! Anton! Kagetsuchi! The strongest techniques intertwined, creating something truly incredible and powerful. Black flames intertwined with the structure of the shuriken, spreading along the wind blades. Naruto and Sasuke exchanged satisfied glances and turned their attention back to their opponent, Ten-Tails Jinchuriki didn't even try to dodge, creating a black swaying shield with a light movement. A black ball began to form on the palm of his hand, piercing Namake's palm with its tip. The newfound technique met the shield with a clatter that drowned out the panic screams coming from the depths of the fog. And then, Namekyo took off. His presence was clearly felt at a height of more than 300 meters above the ground. That same black shield formed a platform and Naruto stood right on top of it, looking down at the world for the last time. The clouds still gathered in one place, forming a whirlpool, the lightning still flashed before reaching the ground, the thunder still muffled my ears. Siwith Volo, the world's heart fluttered as it responded to the master's call. Indistinct tremors shook the ground, which had been warped by the technicians, and the air began to thicken. A red drop of blood dripped from the corner of Namake's lips, and mixed with the raging whirlwind summoned by Jinchuriki's will. The hurricane turned maroon, the color of a god's blood. The wind currents were gathering strength and were already reaching the tips of the platform when a crack passed through the ground. A rumble filled the valley, and layers of earth shifted, revealing a gaping hole. Sennin waved his hand and the storm roared into the abyss, disappearing on its way to the middle. Fiat! An imperious command, and for a moment the world was still. And then, all at once, he was filled with the power, the very will of the new god, obeying a cruel but necessary desire. The sky cleared. The fog began to spread. Naruto, along with Kurama, who suddenly fell silent, looked up at the sky, where the enemy was standing on a black shield. The connection between them had weakened, and he could tell that hitting the enemy was no longer difficult. Yes, he will. And what made him so, he will think about later. How do we get it? The amount of chakra in the fog prevented Naruto from fully activating his sensory abilities and checking the condition of the others. But he was sure they were fine. Yes, that's right, I'm fine. And Naruto didn't notice that his heart was clenching several times during the attack. Long-range vehicles, or you can use the fourth kunai. Next to him, Sasuke stared at the field in silence, trying to figure out where the connection to his future self that he'd felt when they'd arrived had gone. Frowning, he scanned the area with his Sharingan, but the poisonous chakra constantly pricked his eyes. In the end, the Uchiha just deactivated the dojutsu for a while. Futon! Rasen Shuriken! Naruto jumped up and, raising his chakra paw as far as possible, threw the technique at the enemy. The platform disappeared. And the enemy, too. The Rasen Shuriken was through the air and dispersed. Sasuke, where is he? Let's go find your father with the rest of the Kage. The two of them are unlikely to win quickly. It's getting quiet, Uzumaki thought. The fox's chakra was pretty damn low, and he was reeling from exhaustion. The Biju mode was completely gone, and Naruto tried to compensate for this with his hearing and vision. Hey! Father! Where are you? But silence answered him. I don't like this, Sasuke muttered. Naruto agreed with him. They climbed a high hill. Standing back to back, the former teammates began to look around, since the fog was already disappearing. Sasuke, just in case I repeat, only I will become Hokage. Got it. Naruto chuckled, trying to dispel the oppressive feeling of doom. Let's see, Sasuke said. They fought for a while with their eyes, but both of them had very expressive eyes. Hey, look at the fog gone. We'll find this Toby right now, SAS. But Naruto wasn't going to finish the sentence. And Sasuke agreed with him, because even though he tried several times to kill his friends, but the thin ties did not allow him to do it. But this time everything was done for him. Now I understand the doom, the premonition that tormented him. And all sorts of excuses like, this is a war, and victims are accepted in the war, did not work this time. just because he wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared to see a field littered with corpses, and they were corpses, since Sannin mode, activated in half a minute, never lied. I'm not ready to fully experience the loss of my loved ones again. Not ready to stay alive when they're all dead. Yes, this is war, but damn it, why them? Why is it even needed? Who the hell decided that? My eyes were prickling suspiciously, my heart was twitching in my chest, and my brain didn't want to believe it. No. No, it can't be. It's all an illusion. Genjutsu, yes. What is it? The shinobi army no longer existed. Apparently, it was not for nothing that the hidden fog was called bloody. For this fog spared no one. Only 2 lights of life for thousands of kilometers around. The world is empty. An epilogue, Requiem, Death Valley. 4 months later. The earth was dying. The sun had not been seen in the sky for a long time. The fog seemed to be akin to the air itself. And it was hard. It's hard just to breathe. The leaves no longer rustled in the playful breeze. The young shoots of the plants no longer reached for the sun, and there was nothing to reach for. The birds did not sing, filling the quiet world with their voices. They just weren't there. The world is dead. The last 2 living creatures were sitting with their backs to each other. Their eyes were shadowed, their faces haggard, their skin gray and rough. Thin bodies and protruding bones were visible through the tatters of half-rotted clothing. But the most important thing was the look. The blue and black eyes turned gray, lifeless. Dead, like all those buried under the thick earth in this valley. Like all those they found in deserted villages, towns, and lonely homes. There was no one left. And nothing. Hey! The blonde-haired guy called out hoarsely, the way a long-lost voice should sound. What? The dark-haired man replied indifferently. It was long past the time of their tears, their desperate cries, their angry curses. As long ago as they buried the bodies of an army of millions with their own hands. As long ago as Death Valley got its ominous name. As long ago as their souls began to die slowly, along with the world itself. Just like that. Naruto chuckled just as indifferently. The grin faded too quickly from his lips. Again a gray mask instead of the former so lively and sunny face. Sasuke didn't answer. There was no need for an answer. After all, they had long since stopped talking, even though it was impossible to understand each other. They were once rivals. Friends. Partners. Family. Only it doesn't matter now. Their family is gone. It began to fall apart 4 years ago, when one of the links broke off in pursuit of its shadow. And having killed his shadow, the brilliant brunette almost died himself. The second link quietly crumbled under an unnecessarily heavy burden. It crumbled completely unnoticed. No one could have imagined that the eternally cheerful blonde inside was slowly dying. The third link collapsed after being on the other side. The conversation with his father in the next world affected the soul of the white-haired shinobi too much. The fourth link broke, in that choking fog a few months ago. The link that believed until the last, when there seemed to be no hope. The pink-haired kunoichi is now in a mass grave and probably already decayed underground. You can't make a chain out of 2 rings. So Naruto and Sasuke couldn't. Their family is gone. And there is no peace either. There's no one at all. Topic. Dobe. The kunai entered the flesh slowly. They stared into each other's eyes for a long time. Blood stained the colorless clothes, bringing them to life with its own color. And Naruto smiled. Just as bright as it once was. He squinted his blue-tinted eyes, stretched his cracked lips, and twisted his scarred mustache. Sasuke chuckled. Just as meaningful as it once was. He half closed his suddenly bottomless eyes, slightly pursed his thin lips, and shook out the black strands of his already sparse hair. The Shinigami began to cry for the first time. It was a long night. Bloody clouds obscured the full moon, and over the dead earth rose a demonic cry.